And next week we have brand new art coming on set. This morning, though, we continued the conversation and we spoke about Queen Soul collaborating with the Japanese embassy. But Queen Soul actually changing the name earlier. And this morning, I have with me, on the inside, let me don't mispronounce the people on them title, member of the Queen Soul Board of Directors, Charlene Griffith, as well as the General Manager. I called him the CEO earlier on. Little difference, but General Manager at Queen Soul, Mr. Garfield George. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning, Marcus.
How are we doing this morning?
We're great.
Excellent.
Let me say congratulations, firstly, because, you know, this has been a very interesting year for us here in Trinidad and Tobago. We've had the national instrument officially declared as the steel pan. We've had consultations on changing public names and figures and all kind of thing. And here we have the Queen's Hall, and we don't have a queen. So we're going to be changing the name of the auditorium to the Winifred Atwell Auditorium.
Yes.
Tell me, first of all, what inspired this change? Or who or what inspired this change? Let me start with you, Mr. George.
Well, good morning and thank you. Good morning to Trinidad and Tobago. Well, let me first clarify that we're not changing the name of Queen's Hall.
Right, just
Queen's
the auditorium.
Hall remains the Queen's Hall, and it's not necessarily the Queen of England.
The Queen of where?
It is the Queen's Hall. All the queens that perform, including Winifred Atwell, that we're celebrating today. So it could be the Queen of Jazz, and of course, Charlene Griffith is also a queen.
Right.
So it is the Queen's Hall that we
where
have.
the queens perform.
Correct.
Nice.
And at this time, I mean, as you said, you were meeting with the Japanese earlier. We're celebrating a week of Together, and this festival started really in 2021. And at the end of this Together celebration, we were happy that the government on the 20th of August agreed to name, not rename, we had no name for the auditorium.
Okay.
To name the auditorium after this wonderful artist, Winifred Atwell, who blessed us with her performances and her art across the world and the globe.
And more than just her art, her service to the industry as well, because she definitely was a game changer and she was able to trailblazer. Charlene, how do you feel as a woman in the arts?
It's very empowering to, you know, express or to celebrate such talent, and to know she came from Trinidad and it's a female. It's very inspiring because, you know, I mean, recently in the news has been a downer, and to celebrate someone so significant, and I should say we would express or educate our people more about Miss Atwell. I mean, the older folks may know of her, but getting into all that she has accomplished, because it's not just the music. You know, I mean, when she crossed board and went to England, she also started first black hair salon, you know, in a very prominent area. So, you know, it was a grand thing, and she did everything with class and verve. You know, I love that about her. She seems so.
She had attitude.
Sassy,
Yeah, she had attitude for sure. But I mean,
So,
I think to be the kind of trailblazer that she was, you had to have a certain amount of gusto, a certain amount of I don't care what people say.
Yeah, you have to have that sometimes.
Yeah. Is that something that you see artists in Trinidad and Tobago having?
Why you ask me these type of questions?
What else am I asking you? I here for the culture. We here for the culture.
So now you're putting me in the artist form here, right? And
no, but as a member of the board, you will also be seeing artists coming through Queen's Hall.
Yes, I do.
And tell me your observances.
All right. So as a member of the board and the observations, I would say that you know, they're very tame. Yeah. They're not risk takers.
Ooh.
They're not risk takers.
Do you share that opinion, Mr. George?
Well, my opinion, when Winifred Atwell, she was born in 1914, that period was a different time. I mean, you're talking about World War I and World War II, when women had to stand out, had to be empowered, because, I mean, at that time we were still under the British colonial times, and women had to take the lead. They had to work. They had to entertain some of the servicemen who were, in fact, one of her pieces, they call it the five-finger boogie, was out of a challenge that the servicemen asked her to do a boogie song while she was performing for them. So people had to be more creative and be bold at that time to really, especially as a woman, especially as a Trinidadian. And even a lot of the hits that she would have made, you can see the Trinidad influence in it. And exactly.
Yeah.
Let's have a party. You know, white and black rag.
Right.
I mean, you hear in Trinidadian and
Five
finger boogie. I mean, I'm proud to be able to identify with the songs and the music, even though growing up we weren't taught about Winifred Atwell. I mean, when we actually thought about doing a concert last year with the National Steel Orchestra and the piano. And that came out because of some work we were doing with the piano, and we needed to maintain some of, not a lot of artists were coming and using the piano. So when we had that idea, someone, in fact, and I want to say happy birthday to John Gill as well, because I spoke to him and he said, there is Ivory and Steel. At that time, I didn't know who was Winifred Atwell. And it's so ironic that we were planning this concert from last year, 2023. And, we were approached by the member of the board and government to say, why not name Queen Soul after Winifred Atwell? And it was like, this is really for us. This is really us.
What does the celebration look like on the 23rd?
Charlene, you want to get on?
We're having the internationally acclaimed Sean Sutherland. He's based in Canada. He will be here. We have the Caribbean sensation Chantal Esdal, also our very own Alan Cooper, and the National Steel Symphony Orchestra.
Okay.
And to close off the event, can I say that too?
Sure.
To close off our festivities for the afternoon, we have Freetown Collective and the Xavier Strings.
Yes.
So it promises to be a really interesting afternoon, full of entertainment. And again, it's like a gift to the nation for celebrating our Republic Day. And
so the nation is invited to be a part of this celebration?
Most definitely.
How can they be a part of it?
Well, we actually, on the 16th of September, we're going to be gifting the public tickets. So you can call the box office or pass by from 10 a.m. to collect your tickets. Of course, it's
limited.
Of course, well, I mean, you can only fit as much as could fit in the auditorium, right? And so, in terms of naming the auditorium, what does this mean for Queen Soul going forward?
Well, let me just add that while we're having this concert, which starts at 6:30, before that we're going to do a ceremony where we expected the Prime Minister, Honorable Keith Rowley, to unveil a lovely plaque. I don't want to let out too much, but we have this is going to be the Winifred Atwell's Auditorium, and we're going to make it as prestige as possible. And so we're expecting the Prime Minister, of course, our Minister of Tourism, Culture and the Arts, and this is totally being funded by the Ministry of Tourism, and the Office of the Prime Minister Sports and Cultural Fund is also supporting this initiative. So the ceremony starts before, and then what the public is invited to would be the entertainment. Yes.
All right. So tell me, what does it mean for Queen Soul going forward with this naming of the auditorium?
This naming of the auditorium. I think I think for us it's an inspiration, to associate with such an acclaimed artist. And the trying thing is that a lot of young people is not aware of not only Winifred, but a lot of people contributed to the performing arts. And our intention at Queen Soul is not only to promote, and I think because we're doing this, we recognize how ignorant people are towards our history.
Yeah, we don't know
Yes, it's true.
So we have an educational aspect of this that not only going to highlight Winifred, but other art forms and other artists who a lot of our young people, and not only young people, older people too, not aware, But surprisingly so, we have been receiving calls, emails, WhatsApp from persons from as far as the UK, from all over saying, hey, I've worked with her, it's my granny, brother. Everybody wants to be family member.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's interesting, right? Because you mentioned that, and when I was in England, there was an exhibition going on, and they were celebrating Black women. And she was one of the Black women being celebrated, and they had her history, they had her information, they had pieces of her performing live, they had recordings of her, and it was very inspirational to be able to say, hey, look, she's from Trinidad and Tobago. And, making that level of impact in the world where, regardless of wherever the exhibition was going to be placed, she stood up as her own character, being a proud Trinbagonian from here. So I know we have a lot more of those around the world throughout history. So I do hope that we get to celebrate some more of them as we continue to celebrate us and to learn a little bit more about us. So thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Ruckus.
And I look forward to the naming of the Queen's Hall Auditorium, now going to be named the Winifred Atwell Auditorium. And hopefully more people will pull out the grand piano.
Yes, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
So is this an open call? An open call and invitation? Come on out and use the grand piano. Those of you renting Queen's Hall and wanting to put on shows, I want to encourage you to use the grand piano because I think it definitely makes a world of difference, and it's lovely to have that inclusion. So thank you both again for joining us.
Thank you very much for having us.
We look forward to the 23rd of September. Tickets become available from the 16th of September at Queen's Hall box office. All you have to do is head on out and get your tickets. They're absolutely free, and you can be a part of the celebration on the 23rd of September. Let me say thank you very much going on to the General Manager at Queen's Hall, Garfield George, for joining us, as well as member of the Board of Directors, Charlene Griffith. Thank you both very much. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
We take a quick break and we come back with more on the Now Morning Show. Stick around.